We're live.
We're here.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today, my friend Wendy and I from Point Prep Pray are going to be tackling your questions that you guys submitted ahead of time. But please also put your questions in the chat box. We want to answer and talk with you guys and share our different perspectives because every homeschooling parent is different. And actually, when it comes to homeschooling, we're about as different as you can get. Like, we're pretty different.
I mean, I feel like if you're like out in nature and unschooling,
Oh, that would be way more different than us.
Like traditional, you know what I mean?
We're like air conditioned homeschoolers.
Yeah.
But we're different air conditioned homeschoolers.
Yes.
That we're going to create a new category.
Like one of us is at like at Walmart, the other one's at Target. I'm not going to say who's who.
I'm definitely the Walmart. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome guys. This is real life here. And this is the craziness. I've not gone live since the last time we went live, which I believe was last year in October.
Oh, wow.
And the only reason I know it was October is because I think we were at the pumpkin patch when we took the picture.
Oh, like yes, that's true.
Live. So it might have even been after that. And all the YouTube things have changed where everything is. So we're just kind of tracking and following along as we go. But
hey, Anna.
Hey. Hey, Belinda. I'm reading really small, so. Hey, Thrifty. Oh, I was Tiffany. Hey, guys. So we've got your questions, but like I said, drop more questions in the comments there. So we've got morning momming tips. I can't read it all today. This is going to be awesome.
Yes.
Momming tips for when your children are not interested in Bible study and church attendance. I've continued to start our morning time with Bible study and prayer, but both of my kids, 8 and 12, drag their feet and do not focus on the lesson, and any Bible study recommendations that have engaged your kids would be appreciated. So how would you handle that?
Well, I mean, I've got 5 kids, so it's very rare that I'm going to have all 5 of my children interested in anything that I want them to do.
And fully engaged too. Interested and engaged are two
That's
separate
true
things too. Yeah.
That's true too. I just learned that, sometimes we're just going to have to do things because that is what we do. Mm-hmm. And discipline is important. But at the same time, really addressing the heart issue behind it. Like, is it a situation of I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it? Mm-hmm. And or is it a situation that what we're learning is way above my head and so I'm not really retaining? So really sitting them down and explaining to them why it's important. Mm-hmm. And
the more excited you are about doing it,
yes.
that also transfers.
It sure does.
Or if you're dreading it, that transfers as well. So I would definitely say that. I would say heart issue and pray. Yes. Pray more than anything. Because frankly, it's a Holy Spirit issue. Like if the Holy Spirit has to change their heart, we can't do that no matter how much we try. And so I think ultimately you have to pray about it.
Yes.
And then the discipline of just showing up every single day and doing it.
Yes. And
yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Recommendations
for Bible studies. We both not consumed Bible studies. So that's definitely something to check out.
Yes, definitely.
What about if you don't use social media besides YouTube, how do you connect with other people, like find other homeschoolers and stuff like that?
I mean, outside of like local church or locally checking out your Facebook groups and different things like that are in your area that you can meet up with live in person. Made to Homeschool.
We like to hang out on Made to Homeschool. Actually, this video is a live Q&A with us sharing our balanced perspectives on things, but we are actually going to be going live every single month in Made to Homeschool. This is like our official announcement. And we're excited to do that. We're going to come on and take a different topic and then share perspectives on it and thoughts and kind of look at it from several different perspectives. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. We're going to be doing that on the last Saturday of the month, starting in January at 7 Central.
7 Central.
Okay.
Yes.
At 7 Central, and we'd love for you guys to join us. I will leave a link for Made to Homeschool down in the description when we're done with the stream. But Made to Homeschool is a community where you can come together. They have live hangouts where you can come on. You can keep your camera off if you want and just listen in and chat and talk in person. There's also like chat room type circles that you can ask your questions in. Tons of resources.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
So Larry says one of the ones that we're going to be printing out and doing next week for like Christmas school is Ashley West created a really fun Lego challenge for kids. And so it's all Christmas themed. And so it tells them like, hey, create a wreath out of whatever Legos you have. And so they can get as creative as they want, but it kind of gives them some ideas. So I'm excited to do that one. Next week.
Made to Homeschool, a lot of the times is where I found that a lot of people who are not necessarily on social media, they can relate and find comfort and find community within Made to Homeschool because of the fact that there's no ads.
No ads.
No ads.
It's not all the negativity. There's like no negativity.
No, there's
at
no,
all. Which
like
is
that's not a thing. That's there.
No politics.
No politics.
Good grief.
Say it again. No politics. And it's just a very homeschool mom friendly environment. And you find support, prayer. We have people out here praying for people. There is not a question in Made to Homeschool that is not answered. Like I've never seen something like that. And it's not necessarily the people who run Made to Homeschool that are answering the questions. It's homeschool moms helping homeschool moms.
And I know like prayer wise, even I know Abby from Rooted in Rest is actually going to be starting like a monthly prayer meeting on Made to Homeschool, which I'm really looking forward to as well.
So good.
All right. So let's see, what's another question? How to see if your kids are on track with what they're supposed to be learning. Is there a test that you suggest? These kids, particularly, are K through 4th grade.
I wasn't listening. I'm so sorry.
You're reading Debbie's comments. I saw it. Debbie's going to try the Lego challenge. I know. It's so fun.
I'm sorry. The ADHD is strong. All right. What did you say?
How do you see if kids are on track with where they're supposed to be learning? Like, is there a test that you use? You've done testing?
I have done testing.
Isn't it the California Achievement Test?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just for those in California. It's online. It's $25. So
that was like 3 years ago.
I checked.
Inflation?
I checked
Okay.
to make sure. $25. And the results only go to you. They don't go anywhere else. So it's just for your own personal information. It's on a computer. It's not timed. I think they have a timed one.
They do. They do.
So you can choose which one you want.
But we didn't do that one.
I think, don't quote me on this, I think they even have the ability to have it like the questions read to you if there's a child that has like dyslexia or things like that. So that's one. If you have a kindergartner, let's finish the whole sentence here. If you have a kindergartner, I believe Not Consumed has like a kindergarten assessment completely free online.
It's not the one inside the planner?
I think they do have that one as well, but I think they have a free one online. So you might check out that one as well. But I don't put a lot of weight into testing because we all know that our kids learn differently and some of our kids are just not good testers.
Yeah.
But I do think when it's just for our own personal information, it's a helpful assessment to see how we're growing. I don't think we should freak out. I don't think we should throw out curriculum quickly over test results. But it just kind of gives you a gauge to look at. I don't share results with my kids.
Yeah.
At all.
I 100% agree. I think that testing at some point is important just so you have a baseline. I don't test every year. And like Katie said, I don't share test results with the kiddos. It's just instead of schoolwork that day, we did testing. I'm not like never test your kids type person. But yeah, like I really think it's a good idea to just have a baseline as to where they're at and see if they're progressing or if there's something that you need to reinforce. Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes along with the question, which was like, how do you get over that feeling of I'm not doing enough? I don't think you ever get over that feeling.
Once you figure it out, let me know.
I'll read that book.
Oh my gosh. I don't think you do. I think you realize that there is no one that is doing it all. You know what I mean? Not
Including
even the
school
teachers that are in
system.
school.
Yeah.
Like there's no one that's doing it all. You do the best that you have with the knowledge that you have and with what God has given you. And you reevaluate and you reassess and you realize, like me, oh, we didn't do history last year. What's up with that? You know what I mean? And then you do it this year. Figure it out.
You wait till your kids say something about some totally different country that's part of America, and you're like, no. Okay, we're gonna work on geography. It's okay. It's okay.
Or you realize that they don't know their address
Yes.
or their last name.
Sometimes it's those little things that will get you.
It's
Hey, Amy. No, I think the thing is that, okay, couple of things. First of all, it's a matter of realizing you can't do it all. Okay. It's stepping back and looking at the big picture and recognizing that in little moments, you are going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst homeschool mom in the world.
Yes.
I can't do it all. And reminding, like having another person that can be like, hey,
Same.
Okay, Amy said my kids can't spell their middle names.
Same.
Oh my gosh, I've never thought about that. I guarantee you some of my kids cannot.
None of my kids can spell their middle name. I don't even think my oldest can. I don't think he's ever tried. It's so bad.
But I think it's like recognizing that and having someone to remind you, like when you're spiraling. So when I spiral, I call Wendy and I'm like, I'm the worst mom in the world and I'm not doing this right and I'm messing them up for life. And she's like, Katie, God is sovereign. Like you are not in control of your child's future. God is. You were called to be faithful. What can we do to like help make sure you're being faithful, but we don't need to freak out.
Exactly.
And so I think having that accountability, and then I also think having a list. Okay. So when you see those things, because there are going to be those random things like the middle, man, I've really got to put that on my list.
Facts.
I'm like seriously I don't think they can sign their whole name. Anyways, but with it, just have a running list in your phone, on a notebook, whatever, and just write down those. That was my phone. Just write down those things that you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, we need to work on that at some point. And not as a guilt thing, but just to keep track of so that you actually do come back around to doing it and you don't forget about it. Because I finding YouTube videos, the middle name thing, you're not going to find YouTube videos on, but there was something the other day that I was like, oh, wow, they're really confused about what an adverb is. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going to find a Jack Hartman song video on adverbs. And so they watched that for a month. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. Just being like adapting an attitude of gratefulness and just being like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
For putting it in my mind that they don't know their ad sucked when they were in college.
Yes.
You know? So like
when they went to get, yeah, exactly. So I think that's the thing is definitely it sounds like middle names need to go on the morning menu. Yes.
Yes, it will. Actually, that's how I got street address.
That is how
phone numbers
and birthdays.
And birthdays. Oh my gosh. Yeah, birthdays.
We would go to the doctor's office and they'd be like, your birthday is, and they'd be like, and they'd say like the month and then the day, but they had no clue what the year was or whatever. And I was just like, okay, we got to work on that. So yeah, definitely don't try to fix it all. Don't try to feel like you're going to have gaps. It happens in everybody's education. And part of that is you can't teach everything, but part of it too is they can only absorb however much they're interested in, like to some extent. Like there's the buy-in part that they have to have. And so I feel like what we forget sometimes is like we can't, but we could hypothetically do everything right. And they're still not going to remember it all because they weren't meant to absorb everything. Mm-hmm. And so just let that go, you know?
And like what reinforces that for me is the fact that I'm learning half of the stuff that they're learning right alongside them. Like, so I learned nothing and I went to public school.
Yes.
So they'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. If you teach your kids how to find out the information that they don't know. Yes. That's a big thing. If you teach them about finding reliable sources so that they're not just Googling and believing the first search result, you know, that's a good thing.
That's true.
Teaching them discernment and teaching them to have wise people around them is really, really good.
And to seek counsel.
And to seek counsel. Yes. I'm going to grab my phone.
All right. Let's see what's happening in the chat.
Audio is cutting off. Is it cutting off for anybody else? Sorry, guys. My internet's a little wonky today. I love that. Don't fix all the things on Tuesday. That's a big deal. We can freak out on Monday and try to fix everything on Tuesday. It's not good.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. It's like she's in my mind.
I know. This is what I love. It's talking to other homeschool moms who get it. Okay, here's a good question. This one is how to not isolate the child, but keep them away
good.
from bad influences as a homeschooler. It's easy to cut everything out, but then they don't learn how to navigate right from wrong and only get the parent's view. So how do you find the balance between like discernment and like sheltering? Like there's an in between, like, or not discernment, like everything in or everything out, or it's the in between.
Well, I don't believe in sheltering.
Mm-hmm. Same.
So that I think I need to start with that.
Yeah.
I don't believe in shelter. Number one, half of my family ain't even Christian. So I can't shelter them unless I want to keep them away from their like family.
Right.
So I believe in coming alongside my children and guiding and navigating through life with them, seeking biblical wisdom, seeking wise counsel alongside them. I don't have all the answers. I don't know if that is the wisest way to do things, but that is how I go about things, is we navigate through things together.
Same.
I don't like I'm not gonna, I was about to say go to the clubs with my kids.
No kids are going to the club.
Like I'm not gonna throw them into the lion's den, but we navigate through life together. And I personally cannot have a spirit of fear, like, you know what I mean? And navigate through life like, oh my gosh, my kids are going to be exposed to this. My kids are going to be exposed to that. We just have to do it. We have to take it one step at a time, trust God, pray through it, and really guide through
Bible
life.
club, right, Wendy? Okay, so I grew up
homeschooled.
And like the people around me a lot were homeschooled. And I think thinking that we can shelter our kids is probably the biggest mistake parents can make. Like is thinking that you are sheltering your kids, like even if that's the intention, they ain't being sheltered. Like no, they're not. Unless you are like locking them in a room, which don't do that.
Don't do that.
They're not being sheltered, right? Like there is worldview everywhere. You drive down the street, the billboards, worldview. Like you're talking to another person at the grocery store, they're going to share their worldview. Like all of these things are coming at them. Everywhere, on the internet, everywhere. And so I think that, and there could be just as much bad influence in homeschool co-op groups, with neighbors, with whatever, as there can be in school systems. So I think
even in church,
and definitely. And so I think that you really it's not about just exposing them to everything at all ages at all times. Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. But it's going through life, and when things come up, addressing those things
and navigating it with them.
Yeah.
Yes. And truly understanding that like the control that you think you have, you don't got, like that more and more as I navigate through life with my children. And as they get older and more independent, there is this imaginary control where you feel like you can pick up your child and move them to here and now they're safe is not true. Especially having medically fragile kids. I'm just truly realizing that they are in God's hands. And prayer is so important.
Yeah. I asked my mom, so my mom homeschooled 7 kids, all 7 of her kids. And I asked her, I said, what do you wish you would have done differently? Like, what do you think is like the number one thing that you could have done differently? And she's like, honestly, I wish I would have prayed for my kids just as much, if not more, than I would have tried to fix the situation. And so she's like, I would freak out about so-and-so doesn't know their math facts. And so I would try to come up with a system or buy new flashcards or whatever. And she's like, I wish I would have just stopped and prayed about it. Still done something, like still taught them their math facts, still done those things, but stopping and praying about those things is one of the most important things that you can do. And teaching our kids good discernment. My parents, we grew up watching movies, TV shows, and whatever. And my dad would pause or stop as we went and be like, hey, was that very respectful the way that the kids were talking to their parents or like, that probably wasn't, the most appropriate thing to wear or whatever. Like he would stop all along the way and kind of walk us through why he was fast forwarding through this part or why he was skipping this or whatever. Then as we got older, we would get turns to have the remote. It was the most terrifying experience. It still gives me a little like PTSD. I would get handed the remote and I'd be like, all right, it's your turn to like model and walk through this, whatever the movie was. So you'd be watching it, you'd be like pausing, you're like, is that? And he was just like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I think they should not have snuck out of their house like that. And he's like, yeah, your brother. And I'm like, okay, pressing play again. And then like you go through it, or like you'd be the one to have to stop and be like, guys, I don't think we should watch anymore. I think there's been enough in here.
Yeah.
Like, and so it was terrifying, but it was so good. Like
Yeah.
so good, because it really taught us like how to be discerning with those things. Anna says her dad did the same. Must be a pastor's kid thing. But no, I highly recommend it.
And it's also good for like teaching children that the lies laced in truth. You know what I mean? Like there's so much that's hidden and underneath. And if you're not taught to look for it, it can go right over you or right through you and stick to you. And you didn't even realize it was there.
Facts. There are so many messaging. There was something the other day we were driving, and my daughter, my 6-year-old, said something about like, she was talking about bad guys, I don't know, doing something or whatever. And she was like, they just need to try harder. Like, they just need to like look inside themselves. And I was like, hold on, stop the car. I was like, hold on. No, they don't just need to try harder. Like, baby, their hearts, like we're born sinners in need of a savior. And like all of a sudden she's like, oh, that makes more sense. But like, we had to talk through those things. And I think that's the other factor when it comes to teaching our kids discernment. When it comes to all those things, is listening to your kids, having them explain things to you, having them explain back. I can't tell you how many times, like, we've listened to a sermon, or we've done devotions, or we've done whatever, and some adult has been talking for a long period of time, and the kids are like, and then you're like, what did you hear? Slightly terrifying, sometimes funny, but it's good, because sometimes they totally get it, and other times they don't. And so then you can break it down and like explain.
So
further.
Being a student and a study of your children. I love that.
Yes,
that is so true.
Debbie says she hated when her dad would do stuff like that, but it was correct for critical thinking and self-accountability. It's true, because one day you're going to have the remote always. One day you're going to be in charge of what you consume. And
even more terrifying, one day you might be in charge of somebody else.
No joke. I think Christian parents can miss that part. Yes, I'm often a lot more worried about bad Christian theology than I am about paganism and worldliness. Same girl.
Who is that? Is that Debbie?
No, that's Amy.
Oh, high five. That is so true. That is so true. Because a lot of the times we are, and I've noticed that a lot in Christian society, is that all the Christian stuff, it says it's Christian, we're just going to let it in. We're just going to trust it. And then it has like terrible theology, close to Disney Channel theology, but because it has the Christian label,
it has a dove on it, so it must be good. No, it's true. We have to be discerning and watching. So I don't know, that was a long answer to that question, but I think it's a good question that deserves time.
Yes, I love it.
If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the comments too. I want to answer you guys' questions as well.
That's true.
Best mom tips to manage one's own ADHD and your kids' ADHD. So Wendy does not have ADHD. I do. Wendy
turns out it's contagious.
Wendy has thyroid issues, which cause ADHD-like symptoms.
I'm dead. Oh my gosh, it's true.
But she does have kids with ADHD.
I do.
And so I think that's something that we both navigate.
And I'm married to a man who has ADHD. So
facts. I think one of the big things with ADHD is to make sure it's to be observant about how you go about life. Like, why do you do the things you do? And to understand that ADHD is not an excuse.
Oh, say that again, Katie.
It's not an excuse. It's helpful information to have about yourself so you can know what your natural tendencies are. But just because it's a natural tendency does not mean you are a slave to that or you have to give into that. Is something I think we have to be really.
Ad about to
I guess
play?
an ad's about to play, guys. Hold on. I don't know. An ad is inserted.
There you go.
Okay.
I hope they can still see it.
I know. Guys, this is all new. Like a year ago, this didn't happen like this. So we're going to keep talking and hopefully you guys see it. Debbie wants, we'll go back to the ADHD thing. But first, before we lose it, Debbie wants to know how you're weathering the cold weather this year.
Oh my gosh. Talk about Wendy turned into a winter person. Hello.
For those who don't know, Wendy moved to Kansas from Florida.
Yes.
Where she's lived her whole life.
Yes.
Or most of her life.
Yes. I've lived in Florida since I was 3 years old. And at 34,
4.
4?
Yeah.
How old was I?
No, 33.
No, I was 34.
You've been here for 18 months.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be 36. I'm an old fart.
Wait, I thought you were going to be 35. Anyways,
No,
whatever.
you're 35.
Okay, the point is, you moved here.
All that to say, I lived in Florida for over 30 years. And let's stick with that. And when I moved to Kansas, right? I'm like, it's gonna be winter. So the minute September hit, I'm like, winter is here. Winter has arrived. We started layering. We started doing all the things. It was exhausting. I'm like, oh my gosh, winter sucks. It's horrible. Come to find out, that was fall, y'all. That wasn't winter. So by the time fall
she's like wearing like long underwear and then like 3 layers of shirts.
Fleece, so much fleece.
And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like 65.
It was cold. By the time winter did come, I started taking clothes off because I was like 9 months pregnant. So I started taking clothes. I'm like, it's hot. And all that to say, this year I have enjoyed fall and I have thoroughly enjoyed our first snow. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I slid down a hill. I had a blast. She
went like, it's 47 degrees out, and this is how she
That's
came
it. That's
to my house.
Y'all. That's it. I ain't got no layers on, nothing. Who is this?
So she's adjusting quite well. No, but back to the ADHD thing, because that was an ADHD little side note there. Back to the ADHD. I think it's recognizing what we can naturally do. I think it's recognizing that God is bigger than any, like you always say that.
Yeah.
God is bigger than any diagnosis, any whatever.
He's bigger than being introverted.
Yes.
He's bigger than it all.
Yeah. So recognizing, like, not putting it in a box, using the information to help you, and to help you and your child navigate life. So things like setting timers, super helpful. Yes. Things like having checklists, very helpful. Things like leaving or having certain amounts of pressure. This depends on the person. Okay. But for me in particular, if I have a wide open day, I cannot get anything done at all because there's too many options and I just start like rabbit trailing like nobody's business. But if I know I have an appointment, I would like to have less appointments than what I have, clarification. But if I know I have somewhere I have to be in the afternoon, I'm more likely to get school done quickly because I know I need to get it done before then. So having a little amounts of pressure, not too much, but some tension there is actually really helpful productivity wise for me. I think your husband's the same way.
Yes. Like
he doesn't do as well with open days.
He does not do as well with open days or weeks or anything. Like my anxiety has ignited, but he is the night before person. Like if the paper,
if there's a deadline, you can hit that deadline.
And he will do fantastic. I'm talking A++. That just, makes me reflux. It's so bad. I don't understand it. So like pressure is his thing. My daughter who has ADHD, I have found that it is super important to give her small tasks that she can accomplish. So for example, cleaning her room, you would think is like the most overwhelming thing out like that you could possibly have her do. And the funny thing is she could mess it up like this. But anyways, not the point.
Yes.
The point is she has to constantly, while she cleans her room, and I had to become like okay with this because it's just not the way that I dealt with my son and with other people. She has to come to me, okay, mommy, what's next? And I would say, okay, go pick up all the paper off the floor. And she'll go pick up all the paper. And then, okay, mommy, what's next? Go put all the shoes in the closet. Okay, mommy, what's next? Like she has to do it one step at a time. If I just say, go clean your room, she will melt down. Like it's a lot for her.
Did I ever tell you, I used to have task cards? I think I told you that. I used to have task cards that like, it was like, pick up her shoes. And so I would hand a picture card to my daughter and she would go do that task. And then she'd bring me back the card and I'd hand her the next card. Cause now I can do it as a checklist with each individual step broken up. But at that time she couldn't handle even that much visually.
She can't.
So it was just like one card at a time. It's like, bring it back to me when you're done. Then that way I need to check that part and then they could do the next thing. Yeah. So that's something. Amy says, y'all are my happy place. You're both such an encouragement and I love the realness. I got to peace out and do the dinner thing for my people. Y'all rock. Steadfast by grace. I love that. Same over my son. Over Christmas break, I'm going to make a room cleaning checklist for him. Yeah, it really is helpful. And just to break it down, clothes, then shoes,
Yep.
make your bed. Toys, I find putting toys on there is too much, too broad. So I start with big toys, and then it's like little toys, like the Lego Duplo type.
She
Like,
was
sit little
so
desk.
overwhelmed by the toys. I
Mhm.
actually had to take toys out of the
Yeah,
room
we've done that
and
before.
could not have toys in the room, like for her own sanity.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because all of my girls, we have a playroom downstairs with all their toys, with all the girls' toys, and then upstairs in their room, it's just their beds, their clothes, and they have a few stuffed animals. What? And
with boys, you have to clarify dirty and clean clothes. Oh Lord.
We were
So
talking
much
about this
facts.
the other day about laundry roulette.
Yes.
And how you're
It's a
like,
terrible
you
game.
get like a laundry basket and you're like,
Mm.
80% of it is clean and 20% of it is dirty.
So
And you're
like,
just like smelling everything. And you're like, man, I really hope this is not.
We're good.
It's not going to have a funk to it.
Oh no, not the underwear.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Yep.
And like you get a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, oh, we're probably most of
Oh
us
my
is
gosh,
all
that's probably
good.
we're done.
And then you get that last one, you're like,
Or it's a sock. Yeah. Unfortunately.
This is real life, guys. Anyways, what other questions do you guys have for us? We want to answer whatever you guys have got, or most anything you have. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to open up to everything. But yeah, we would love to hang out with you guys at Made to Homeschool. We, like I said, are going to be starting the last Saturday of every month.
Yes.
We're going to be having kind of a hangout, and be able to just like laugh with you guys and have this kind of experience. It's really, really fun. And we'd love to have you join us for that. I think I have one more question.
And if you think this is casual,
you should see us at Made to Homeschool.
It's so much better.
We're more casual. We share more personal things because it's not open to the entire World Wide Web.
Yep. And
here,
kiddos popping in all the time. And
yes.
Yeah, it's just real life.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, here's a good one. Now that newer homeschoolers are out of pandemic mode, and they're like in homeschooling because they want to be in homeschooling.
Okay.
How do you handle like staying motivated? Like, because when this wasn't the original plan, because I think for all of us, we struggle with motivation.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But especially when you're like, this was the original plan. I kind of got thrown into it. It was a little bit of like trauma mode.
Yeah.
Like just jumping in. And now things are settling down. They're chosen to stay. How do you get motivated?
What is your why?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this?
Well, and I think that's extra important for pandemic parents.
Yes.
Because it was kind of forced upon you to some extent.
Yep.
And so your why in the moment was just like, well, they can't figure it out over here, so I'm just doing it now. Yeah. And if you're continuing to stay on with homeschooling, you need to kind of revisit that and rewrite your why of like, I'm homeschooling now. I'm choosing to continue to homeschool because XYZ.
Yep.
And then post it.
Yep.
I highly recommend posting it, having it somewhere. If you don't want to have it like on your fridge, you can put it like inside a closet door or whatever. But that way on those moments when it's super hard, you can go back and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. This is why. This is why I'm not putting them on the bus.
It's true. And understanding that you are not alone in the lack of motivation.
Yeah.
If you know her, give her my number. But I cannot think of a homeschool mom that wakes up every single weekday motivated to homeschool.
Absolutely.
It's not a real thing. Like the lack of motivation is only overcome by discipline.
Mm-hmm. And just that discipline, showing up even when you don't want to. If you're really struggling with motivation, especially if there's any kind of mental health struggle, because like I struggle with motivation and I have anxiety and have struggled with depression in the past, I recommend making yourself show up for one thing.
Yep.
And just that first thing. So like the other day I was really, really struggling and I was like, you know what? I can't take on the mental load of saying we're going to do all of school.
Yes.
That's too overwhelming to me. But I can say that we're going to go downstairs and we're going to do our journaling. Because that's the first thing I do with my little girls. I'm like, we're just going to do our journal. Well, we did that. And then naturally the girls know the rhythm and routine. And they were like, okay, cool. Now it's time for math. And I'm like, I think I could handle that.
Yep.
So I did math. And then we did like most of a day of school. And so it's one of those where I feel like sometimes you just have to show up for that next thing. And then you get kind of a momentum going. Let's do what Debbie say.
And if we haven't said it before, prayer, guys.
Yes.
It really changes things.
And the things that are easy to do are usually not the ones that are worth doing. Facts. Debbie, preach it, Debbie.
That's so true.
Man,
Debbie is in Made to Homeschool.
she's in Made to Homeschool. She's one of our BFFs for life.
Yes.
And yeah, it's huge encouragement. I can't talk.
Encouragement is the best.
Encouragement. Real question. Is it ever possible to get stereotypical boys interested in journaling? It's like pulling teeth.
Yes. Ryan's tactic.
What does she do? I don't remember.
Potty jokes.
I was not ready for that. Okay, you want to expound a little bit?
Talking about poop, pee, toilet, anything like that. Your boys will be writing you stories for days.
So allow potty humor.
Yep.
Just in journaling.
Just in journaling. And as long as they don't take it too far. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I think to answer the question, is it possible? Absolutely. Oh, but they draw.
Oh.
That's bad. I think it's possible. I think the question is the why behind it. Like, it's possible? Is it necessary or needed? I don't know. It depends on what your goal is.
Yeah.
So are you wanting them to journal because you're like dead set that they need to journal? Or is it that you want them to journal because you're wanting to work on handwriting or spelling? Because maybe there's a different way that they can work on handwriting and spelling that jives more with their personality.
Facts.
I do think giving prompts to boys in general, like Sean's a little different because he's a creative writer. He doesn't like boxes, but
I love boxes.
I think stereotypical boys typically like giving a little bit of a prompt of a way to go with their writing is a little bit easier than like an open, just journal anything that's happened today. So even if it's like you give them part of a story, finish out how this ends kind of thing.
That's good.
Or give them some characters like, okay, so there's a dragon and a knight. What happens?
Yeah.
Write out what happens. And they can take it, whatever direction they want. So I think it just depends. If it's more about the storytelling aspect of it and like writing, I think dictating can be a big deal. Like having them dictate to you and tell you what they want to write. You can write it down if it's more about, but again, it just depends on what your main goal is with it.
Yeah.
I thought the reading journal from Not Consumed would be perfect, but he still hates it. Yeah.
No, the reading journal wouldn't be, no. That would be good for kids who like to journal.
Mm-hmm.
The reading journal, no.
I love the Not Consumed reading journal.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But it's very open.
It's not for reluctant writers.
No.
I feel like it's for those who
I use it for Sean, but he's
extra.
Yep.
Storytelling's fine. He uses that as a strategy to keep him focused from real. Yeah. For sure. Some of my kids, I have them do book summaries and stuff like that written, but some of them I have them do it recorded. And so they make a video because they love to make videos. And
I wonder where they got that from.
I don't know, but they've learned how to do more editing tricks than I know how to do.
I know, right?
They're
we
like
need to start having them edit these
they
videos.
constantly come in and are like, "Mom, Wendy, look at this video we just made."
That's true.
There was one that was weird the other day. They had taken footage. They had taken footage of Wendy like all throughout the day without her knowing that they were filming, and they put it together as a video. So, how do your kids on the same page? Or how do you? My 9-year-old girl has such a lack of focus and would rather play or do arts and crafts or chat. She's such a sweet fun, but this is exhausting. I think that's pretty normal at 9. How do you get them on the same page with you?
I have a 9-year-old girl who's the same. The exact same. She'd rather be playing. She'd rather be crafting and doing all the fun. What I do is, number one, it's normal. Number two, I give her 3 things that she has to do and then let her go play.
Yeah. I think breaking things down into really small tasks for those kiddos.
Yeah.
I think understanding that different kids are different and at different ages.
Yep.
But understanding that, how do I put this? That some kids just take a lot longer to get the big picture.
Yep.
And so all they can handle right now is the next task. And eventually they will understand how all of this is for their good and for their education and the long-term goals and all of that stuff. But for now, they may just be able to handle the next thing.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of give things one piece at a time.
And I try to explain to her that, not everything we do in life is going to be what we want to do, how we want to do it.
Yeah.
But we still have to show up and we still have to try our best. And I really do believe in we do the hard thing and then we do a hard thing, then the fun thing. And so I try to stack her day like that.
And understanding that we do everything for God's glory. And so ultimately, like, not trying is not a choice.
Yep.
Like, it's not something if God's called us to it, we have to show up and faithfully do our best. And it may not be perfect, and that's totally fine, but we need to show up. And so I think that's something I've dealt with a lot with my kids, where they're just like, I don't understand. Why do I have to do this? And I'm like, because this is what God's called us to do right now. And then being patient and breaking things down into small tasks.
And I know for me, it can be frustrating. Because I'm like, let's just do it. We got to do our thing. But then I also need to extend the same level of grace that God extends to me. So she still has to show up. She still has to do her work. Don't get me wrong. But I don't got to show up angry. If that makes sense. Or frustrated. I can still show up loving and help guide her through that.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad that's helping. I think too, also understanding that when it comes to being on the same page with us is asking, why, depending on the kid, you're the mom, the situation better. But if you feel like there's really a struggle or there's a consistent subject, that there's sort of that wall that you're hitting, asking them outside of the situation, what is it about that? Like, I've noticed that recently, every time we come to writing, there's sort of a struggle. Could you explain more what's going on? I think that's really helpful, because sometimes it can be an instance of like a child really is not getting it and they need extra help. It could be a curriculum's not jiving well, but sometimes it's a hard issue and it's just like, hey, we're going to do hard things. But you don't know that. I mean, we can assume a certain amount, but sometimes it's good to check in and see.
And I think that
information,
that's where that grace comes into play, is just really understanding that, we have to do hard things, but really willing to have that conversation and that evaluation with them, because I've discovered a lot of things that way just by having conversations with them outside of the subject. So like, what's happening? What's the matter with, I can't see. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like, literally, one of our kids needed glasses.
You need glasses. That's why you hate doing this so much, because you can't see. And here I am getting upset. Like, why are we doing this? Why can't you just do it? And really, it's just because you can't see, so just having really that evaluation is so important. It is.
But doing it outside of the heat of the moment is extra important, because if you're like, hey, why is this hard? Then they're going to have an emotional reaction. You're more likely to have an emotional reaction. It's better to keep it separate as much as possible, and to just bring that up calmly and just be like, I love your feedback.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that if you hate the curriculum, we're going to change it, but I at least need to know what is it specifically you don't like.
Sometimes we could just get you glasses.
Yep, exactly. Let's say, hey, Wendy, how is CLE Language Arts and what's else? First grader, do you do the tests? Also, do you help with the test? It takes my son 20 minutes to get to his actual work done. When it comes to the test, it takes him hours.
Okay. Wow, it takes him 20 minutes. Your kid is awesome. All right.
When he was just talking about how long lessons
that's really fast. That's really good. Okay. What I personally love CLE Language Arts, and I love CLE learning to read. I love a very rigorous traditional schooling. And it is that. It took a while for us to build that muscle to be able to accomplish an entire sitting of school. There are still portions in which I have become a master. When I first started homeschooling, the curriculum was my ruler. All right. The curriculum says to do this. This is what we have to do. Right. I have now learned that, oh, no. I'm the teacher. Hello, my name is Wendy. And so if I see that my kid is trying his hardest, you know what? I'll read the first paragraph, you
Mhm.
read the second paragraph. I'll read the first part, you read the second part. And we take turns reading. Or I'll be like, hey, you know what? You've done a lot of writing today. We'll X out that part and then we'll work on writing next time or whatever. We adapt it and make it work for us. When it came to the test, at first I was doing tests with him in the sense that like I would read him the directions and then he would come in and do it. Now he's more independent with it, but it takes time. It's a muscle that needs to be built. You are the teacher. You are the curriculum ruler. So you rule the curriculum.
Mhm.
You make it work for you guys.
So are you still, how long does it take him to do tests? Do you know?
Tests are a lot shorter than actual lessons. So we've got the opposite problem. Tests take about 20 minutes. Actual lessons take about 40 for learning to read. So it's about double the time. But he may need you to read him the
Instructions?
instructions.
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on the child, for sure. But now I know what LTR stands for.
Learn to read.
I know. I'm like, wait. There's a lot of acronyms in homeschooling. I feel like we should.
IEW.
I feel like we should
Do you know
write
how
an
often we
acronym
say
booklet.
IEW?
I know we say IEW. People are like, "What are you talking about?" Institute for Excellence in Writing. That's why we say IEW because it's a big mouthful.
Or even CLE.
CLE is Christian Light Education.
Like people, like if you're not in this world, you're not gonna know that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no,
You're fine.
You're good. Yeah, you're good. No, I'm just having a weird reflection moment in the middle of a live.
This is a perfect timing.
So guys, when we used to go live on YouTube, we would be very like prim and proper and very like
I showed up. I used to come with a mic.
Yeah, we used to be like very chill. And Made to Homeschool has definitely like made us very casual. We're just like, hey girl, what's up? So if you like that more relaxed style, so this is better. If you like the more relaxed style, if you like the weird jokes and the random rabbit trails, then come hang out with us at Made to Homeschool because seriously, that is it. This is us all the time.
The only difference is I'd be in a hair bonnet right now.
Yeah.
There'd be a bonnet on my head.
And there'd be a kid in our lap.
Yep. And I'd be in my robe.
Yeah. Because while I don't mind what my kid says, without editing in Made to Homeschool, I do mind on the internet. So all that to say, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It was so fun. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. And yes, definitely, Jerry, we'd love to see you there.
Yes.
So definitely come hang out and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.